Welcome to Three Count Commentaries. Now we have to get through the slog that was Monday Night Raw, but they continued the build for WrestleMania, which was positive. They had one really good match, which was also positive, but there was also a bunch of stuff I didn't care about that took place on this show. So it was a typical Monday Night Raw. News and notes first. Vader going into the Hall of Fame. Absolutely phenomenal. Long overdue. I think he's been dead about 2 or 3 years now. And they could have done the Hall of Fame before the pandemic even struck. And he probably would have made a perfect addition. It would have been nice to see him get while he was alive. And a lot of people were flipping out about that. And I agree. You know, I would like for guys to actually be able to do their own Hall of Fame speeches. That would be nice. I would also like for documentaries to be done on them. You know, every year there should be a documentary on a Hall of Famer. Well, every month there should be one. How long did it? I mean, I know it takes a long time to do a really good, thorough documentary. Now we see WWE, they've done this whole new deal with A&E. They're going to be doing more biographies. So they're going to take time to do that shit for A&E. You know, so it's like, what about Peacock? Come on, you know, upload some. Where's the rest of those icons? Where's the rest of that stuff? There's a bunch of stuff that they put together. And I guess they're trying to, ship it to somewhere else or something else or whatever. They're trying to double monetize it, or take it off instead of putting it on Peacock, save it for something else. It's like Hall of Fame should be, all right, we're going to celebrate the Hall of Famers every month. If there's 12 people that's going into the Hall of Fame, should be a documentary on each one of them. It should be at least something short, maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes or whatever. An hour for the really big stars like a Vader or somebody like that, where we talked to a bunch of people that was in his background, his family and everything. It'd have been great. I think that's what Icons was supposed to be. But when they take forever to get the stuff out of there, and then the fucking guy dies, it's like, what the fuck? What are you doing? This is a huge problem that WWE needs to fix, is giving people their flowers while they're alive. And then being able to, create something more about it. It's like, it would, for starters, be nice to have guys do their own Hall of Fame speeches. It will also be nice for guys to be able to talk about themselves, about situations that really occurred to them. I would like for Vader to sit down and have a 2-hour documentary or an hour and a half documentary about his career and spend some time explaining SummerSlam 96. What was he thinking when Shawn stomped him in the face? Now that we've uncovered that, Sid got his title run, how did that make him feel? I'm pretty sure you could probably scratch and claw up some shoot interviews or pastiche some stuff together that would have, that could probably put together a story. But I would have liked for, the point counterpoint where Shawn was thinking, because he's still alive, he could say, hey, this is what I was thinking. I was probably peeled up or whatever. And then Vader get to talk about how he felt or what he did or whatever. Like, that can make for compelling TV. That's compelling stories and stuff like that you can monetize the past and give guys their flowers and celebrate them. And then we could talk about what Vader did after he left WWE. Because he didn't necessarily go back to WCW. So he went like to Japan or some other stuff. He's just floating around for years. We could have had deep conversations about that kind of stuff and really gave some closure to those fans. Because that's what the Hall of Fame is all about. It's about creating closure for the fans. Saying one last hurrah and giving people their flowers while they're still alive. You can do that numerous different ways. They're really dropping the ball on that. All right, so Brock Lesnar did some interviews over the weekend where he used, I think probably, what was this? He did an interview for, I hate that I have to actually look. It was for Newsday. And he basically just reiterated what he said before about this is the business of storytelling and characters and being able to portray a passion about something. Either you have it or you don't. Otherwise, you're just a mid-card wrestler or an indie wrestler or an internet wrestler. And you're just playing to the fans on the internet. And he also said some of the young kids nowadays are so used to having everything that they want at their fingertips and technology. I don't know what the grassroots hard work and ethic is anymore. So there's a lot of guys who have been criticizing people's work ethic. Wrestlers are notorious for this, man. Wrestlers have always criticized each other's work ethic. I'll never forget that one scene Bryan Danielson did in a WWE documentary. I can't remember which documentary it was, where he talked about there being guys backstage who hide and hope they don't get picked for shows. And this was, I think, after he retired, actually. Or it was just before. It was one of the two. And I always wondered, like, that is so strange. That there are people out there who, when they get fired, they criticize. But how hard did they really work? How much effort did they really put in? And you kind of see it when they leave, what kind of effort and what kind of heart and what kind of work ethic they have. Because quite a few of these guys, and very few of them, to be quite honest, I think about 10 of them, I can think off the top of my head, actually left WWE within the last 20 to 25 years and improved their stock. If you think about guys who left and then they went and got in the best shape of their life and they got better at promos and they got better at wrestling, they went out and gained a following. Some of those guys came back, some of them didn't, but when you think about it, so many of those guys just ended up falling off the face of the planet. Even though the internet claims, they dropped the ball with them, you see them a couple of weeks later, a month or two later, after that 90 days is over, it's like he's doing the same thing he's always doing. I'll never forget. And this is like when I realized that the internet was full of shit. When Intellectual Savior of the Masses, Damien Sandow, was released. And everybody swore up and down this was going to be a big mistake. WWE had dropped the ball. They were stupid for doing this. They were stupid for letting this guy go. He was the star. Miz sucked. He was the star of the team. And then he went to TNA and he did Liberace. And it bombed. I'm talking Nagasaki. It was that bad. And all of a sudden, I stopped taking the internet so seriously. I was like, that was a stiff one. This was the guy y'all kept telling me. I remember also they said when Brad Maddox got fired, they was like, what? He said cocky pricks and got fired? Oh, they won't go edgy at all. That guy's going to burn the internet up. I was like, okay. I don't remember seeing anything from that guy after he got released. Not a single thing. So that's where the work ethic comes in. You see a guy like Drew McIntyre, he got fired. He went to work, he went and got himself, look at Miro. He went and got himself in the best shape of his life, found a new gig, is kicking ass. Well, Miro's not on TV, but some guys they get fired and you see their real work ethic. WWE has a way of making people complacent because they pay you regardless of whether you work or not. And you don't get paid based off performance. A lot of that money is guaranteed. So when you have guaranteed cash, there's no real incentive outside of, personal desire to get better at something, And so when Brock says that a lot of these young boys out here, they're just so used to, and I would also add that a lot of them are, especially wrestlers, especially on the internet, they get so used to wrestling fans just being so supportive of them and not criticizing them. You got to stay friendly if you're in the wrestling media so you can do interviews and all that kind of stuff. You got to stay friendly. You got to blow smoke up people's asses, talk about how great they are, how great everything is. And, a lot of it is not real. It inflates people's egos. So they think that they're perfect. And then they finally get in front of somebody who knows what the fuck they're talking about. And they tell you, no, you're the shits. This is stupid. Stop doing that. And then they tried to change me. They tried to make me something I'm not. I cannot be the man that you want me to be. And it's like, oh, fuck. Come on. The average person every single day walks into the office and put on a clown suit and do shit they don't want to do. Come on. You want me to feel bad for you? You made like 6 figures. And, it's like, this is stupid. You're so detached from reality, and it's all because people have inflated these egos with you're so great, you're so awesome. I saw you on this such and such when you had 200 people. And then you get to WWE or whatever and start telling a sob story about how you were sleeping on your grandma's couch or you had money under the mattress or some stupid shit like that. And then you forget all about all of those days when you start making a little bit of money. Now you're full of yourself. That's ridiculous. And almost every wrestler has one of these fucking sad sob stories about, I was sleeping in my car. I was sleeping under a bridge next to the pissy homeless people. But now I'm here and I'm making so much money. It's like, yeah, okay. Then why is your ego so fucking big? You should be humble if you came from humble beginnings. But they're not. They just have massive fucking egos, and it ends up, busting their ass in the end. Because only when through, humility, you earn an ego. Let's put it like that. You have to earn your ego. That's the difference between self-esteem and confidence. I think I talked about that before on this channel. Self-esteem is something people impress upon you. That's what they do to kids. Oh, you're so pretty. Oh, you're so smart. Look at you. Look how smart you are. Versus confidence, which is, I got an A on my exams because I studied really hard. I know my stuff. I'm confident in my abilities because I put the effort in. I put the work in. That's different, than some dweeb online talking about you had a 5-star match in the Tokyo Dome or some shit that nobody saw. It drew little to no money, especially outside of the country that it took place in. And that nobody knows who the fuck you are, but you think you're the shit, And this idea just permeates through independent wrestling. So I love when Brock comes out and says this kind of stuff, because it does piss people off. But what can they possibly say and what can they possibly do? Brock was able to avoid the independence because he knows what the fuck he's doing. He jumped from WWE, where he was making a lot of money, to New Japan, and was also the champion and made a lot of money because he knows what he's doing. He didn't mid-card anywhere. He jumped to UFC and made money because he knows what the fuck he's doing. Brock don't mid-card nowhere. He even I guess he was a mid-card football player, which is why he didn't make the team. But other than that, Brock don't mid-card, man. He goes in there and he busts his ass. He earns his place, earns his spot. I love that. I love when he be calling people, he says it, but he's not talking about anybody specifically. He's just talking about the things that he sees. He even says that he pulls talent to the side sometimes to talk to them about stuff. And Drew McIntyre has told the story about when he was doing 3MB and Brock pulled him to the side and said, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this is stupid. Like, why are you doing this? And, I remember that. And Drew remembered it. And this was years before. I think this was quite a while before he actually got fired. And then, he remotivated himself once he got fired. So it's like, when you see guys and you think that them getting fired would motivate them, and then they come back on national TV in worse shape sometimes, or in little to no different shape. They haven't learned anything different. They work the same way that they was working before. Same move set, same everything. And you just kind of like, motherfucker just don't get it. You just don't get it. But now there's a place where they can actually be happy. Just being themselves, never evolving, doing the same thing they was doing 10 years ago when they were struggling. And whatever. I don't know. I couldn't imagine, Al Pacino playing the same role in every movie for 50 years. It'll never work. I couldn't imagine Robert De Niro being in movies for all the time he was in movies and playing almost the exact same character. Like you saw Joe Pesci, right? Joe Pesci was great in the role that he played, which is why he always played the same role in every fucking movie. And that's also why he's not one of the greatest actors of all time. You got to be able to do a lot of different things. Arnold Schwarzenegger made a lot of money, didn't have a lot of range. Same thing with, Sylvester Stallone actually had range though, so I can't talk about him. All right, so almost 15 minutes in, we're going to finally talk about Raw. So Raw starts, and they showed this quite a few times throughout the show, footage of Roman attacking Brock and MSG over the weekend. They did not show Brock's opponent for the MSG show, but it was Austin Theory. I thought they was actually going to post the match on Peacock or on YouTube, which I think would probably be sweet if they did. But they just basically showed that, Roman jumped Brock and held both belts up, which I guess is sort of a spoiler for their WrestleMania contest, which is this was the only thing they really had all night that touched on the Roman and Brock story. Other than that, they really didn't put a finger on that story anymore. Becky Lynch was not here because she had injured her throat. She blamed Bianca Belair in kayfabe. In reality, I think she blew her voice out, probably yelling at somebody at MSG or something. So she wasn't on this show. So the only Bianca Belair promo was the only forward movement we had on that storyline. But guess what? It wasn't bad, because not everybody needs to be on every show every week. And sometimes we got the match already. We got Bianca and Becky. It's already set. This week was just an opportunity for them to fuck it up. Next week is just another opportunity for them to fuck it up. You know, the match is already set. As long as Becky can actually wrestle the match, we've got enough material to put together a package and to have the match. We don't need to do too much. But Bianca Belair says that she only had one rule, and that's that Becky Lynch don't touch her hair. And of course, Becky Lynch did that. She said she don't need to use her hair as a weapon, and that Becky may have a scar that lasts forever, but her title reign won't. So that was the only real forward movement on Becky and Bianca, was a little Bianca promo, which made sense. It was short, it was to the point, and it worked out just fine. Everything else was all Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. So I was having a big problem, especially after the Edge segment, which we'll talk about in a minute, because it was announced that Edge versus AJ Styles was going to be on the Sunday WrestleMania. And I said, holy shit, if Brock and Roman is going to be on Sunday, and Edge and AJ Styles is going to be on Sunday, what the fuck is the big match for Saturday? There is nothing big for Saturday. Oh, but Bianca versus Becky, it's a women's match. I think they said Charlotte and Ronda is going to wrestle that same night. It's a women's match. You know, not going to belittle it. I know Ronda and Charlotte are going to main event, but it's a women's match. And Ronda, this thing with Ronda is not working. I've already talked about that. They needed something big for the Saturday in WrestleMania, and they nailed it with the Kevin Owens Seth Rollins thing, the Kevin Owens Stone Cold Steve Austin thing. So we start the night with Kevin Owens and Seth freaking Rollins talking about it's been a rough year and they got screwed, but they've been punching their ticket to WrestleMania tonight, and that Seth Rollins said that it's time for their luck to finally change, and said that, can you really imagine a WrestleMania without us? Kevin Owens went on about how Dallas is a dump, then said that momentum is on their side, and they have been undeniable. We get Alpha Academy and RK Bro both coming out cutting promos. We're going to skip over that. I think the important thing here is that not really important, but it's one of the things, one of the nits that I like to pick, because I heard shoosh, shoosh, please, and then the Alpha Academy theme played, and I said, did they really add shoosh to his theme song? WWE, man, what the fuck? Why would you do that? I don't even get with the mentality behind it. I don't even understand why somebody would even come up with that. What would possess somebody to say, you know what, we're going to put shoosh in his theme song now? So when it plays, the first thing you fucking hear is shoosh, shoosh. I guess it's supposed to make people react, but it's annoying. You know, like, just play his fucking theme song and then let him do the shooshing thing. It's like for Big E in the New Day, right? Like, he does the whole, oh, Atlanta. He does it live, backstage with a microphone. That's how he should do it. You know, he should do it backstage with a microphone, shoosh, please, and not be attached to his theme song. He should be cutting promos or talking or whatever. Kind of like Kurt Angle used to do. They didn't add it's true to Kurt Angle's theme song. You know? And I know they did it with The Rock. They added, if you smell. But that doesn't disprove the rule. Let's put it like that. You know? They didn't go, what you gonna do? Don't. They don't know. That's not how that works. Why they start doing shit like this makes no sense. You know, it comes across like, you know, when they put the Owen Hart, enough is enough, and it's time for a change. It's like, ugh, what are you doing? That sucks. I tried being a nice guy. Oh, that sucks so bad. Poor Owen. That's like, you know, that's reason number 50 to say poor Owen. Of course, there's a lot more reasons to feel bad for Owen Hart, but that Nation of Domination theme song was fucking awful. You know, anyway. RK Bro, Alpha Academy, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins. They basically had, they didn't, it wasn't quite a Young Bucks match. It wasn't as spotty as that. But they made the same mistake. They started out with tags and then just devolved into everybody's all over the place. Legal Man, forget about it. I couldn't tell you I don't know what was legal. I don't know what the fuck was going on half the time. I saw the tower spot where all the guys are stacked up in the corner. WWE and all the wrestling companies love this spot. It's almost like it's not a match with 10 guys in it unless somebody does the whole superplex from the top powerbomb spot. It's like, we don't need that in every fucking match, okay? We don't. And then we need to have people who are thinking on their feet. Otis powerbombs his own partner. Gable's on top of this thing. So when Otis pulls it down, he's pulling down Gable. It's the same thing as when they jump over the top rope and they jump on their own partners. That shit it looks stupid. And then the commentary have to clean it up and cover it up. How about not doing it? If the person you're going to jump on can't catch you, your partner shouldn't be there to catch you too, so you knock him over as well. That's stupid. You powerbombing your own partner. It's stupid. Stop doing this shit. It's so frustrating. But we already know this match was all about one spot. The moonsault RKO. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Excellent timing for Randy. Fantastic shit. But it wasn't the finish. It was not the finish. And I don't get, why would you waste that spot and it wasn't the finish? That made me so mad. It made me so mad that they continued to have match after that spot, when that was the perfect explanation point to have this match on. That should have been the end. Because as it seems, I'm just saying it as it seems currently, the finish to the match was not that important to this overall story they were telling. So what ends up happening is Seth Rollins gets the stomp. Riddle throws Seth Rollins over the top rope, steals the pin. Okay, RK Bro wins. That's the important part. That's the part that really hurts Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. But at the same time, if RK Bro if they were going to win, if they'd have won at the RKO, it still would have been a problem. It still would have had the same reaction, right? Why waste the stomp? Why continue the match after that RKO? It just doesn't make any sense. Nobody remembers anything else from that fucking match anyway, except that RKO. It will live in infamy. That's how good it was. You know, is it on the level of the Shooting Star Press RKO? I personally think that's probably the best one of all time. You know, in terms of a catching finish, that's probably one of the best of all time. This one is actively hurt from being a top 5, top 10 RKO by the fact that it wasn't the finish. It wasn't the finish. That fucking sucked, because that would have been a great finish, but they fucking threw it away. So Seth Rollins was catatonic after this. He went completely nonverbal and wandered off into the woods as if he had been mind wiped by some Men in Black pin thing. Kevin Owens was dour for the rest of the evening. So Bubba Ray Owens goes to ringside and he starts dissing some legends. Starts talking about, hey, I want to have a stupendous KO show. That's my idea. But I was thinking about who to invite. And he says John Bradshaw, Layfield, JBL. The horns on his limousine will be more interesting to him. He's a bloviating blowhard. Says Booker T is a hypocrite. He's from Texas, but he's been spending his whole career doing Harlem Heat. And when he finally became world champion, he was doing a bad British accent. He's ashamed of being from Texas. No, there's no hypocrites on the KO show. And it says that as a proud Canadian, and out of respect for Bret the Hitman Hart, he cannot have Shawn Michaels on his show. Those are some pretty good disses. I specifically like the Shawn Michaels one that was out. That's always very good. When Shawn versus Canada is a permanent beef. So he says he wants to challenge the man who embodies the state of Texas, a redneck who drinks beer, has let himself go, whose knees were so bad he had to wrestle in knee braces. He invited Stone Cold Steve Austin to come on the KO show at WrestleMania on Saturday. Not this Saturday, of course, but WrestleMania Saturday. And I said to myself, there it go, baby. There it go. Something good for Saturday. A reason for you to tune in to see the Saturday show. Because that's a tough show to sell. That Saturday show. I mean, my God. You put all the top matches on fucking Sunday. You would think WWE would balance that card out, but no, they're not balancing that shit at all. They're going to put Saturday is going to be all Stone Cold Steve Austin, and maybe they'll do something else big, but they have no big marquee match, no huge marquee match, which they need. Clearly, I could pat myself on the back by saying I knew Stone Cold Steve Austin was not going to wrestle any match, and that it was just going to be a KO show, which I think anybody but I don't want to give myself too much credit, which is usually what most people do, because they don't think, I assume most people have common sense, and that we just run into idiots on the internet, if I was talking to you, just like I was sitting here talking to you right now, and I would say, yeah, they're talking about Kevin Owens versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania. You probably say, nah, probably not. Somebody might be like, oh, they probably just do a talking segment. And you're like, yeah, that makes the most sense. They do a talking segment. These motherfuckers on the internet, they get you so hyped up over stupid shit. Oh, Vince is going to wrestle. Like, really? He's 76. Vince can barely get through a conversation. How is he going to have a match? Oh, Stone Cold Steve Austin, after being outside the ring for 19 years, all of a sudden going to climb in the ring to wrestle fucking Bubba Ray Owens. Bam Bam Owens. Owenzuna. Are you serious? Get the fuck out of here. It's not going to happen. Why did they let people get their hopes up so high? Now people are disappointed. Why are you disappointed in something WWE never promised? They never promised Vince was going to wrestle. They never said Steve Austin was wrestling. What you was doing is listening to people who had the spoilers, quote unquote. And they didn't even get the shit right. I knew it was going to be a talking segment because that's the only thing Austin can fucking do. Now, I would have suggested a Broken Skull Sessions featuring Kevin Owens with them. It's still the same thing. They're still in the ring, doing a little bit of a talk segment. And that still would have been the same thing, and it's fun. It could be a big moment for a lot of the young fans out there who like Kevin Owens, but maybe don't see him as a main event guy. It could be something that could raise Kevin Owens' profile. He gets to work with a bona fide idol of his. So this is great for him. For me, it's kind of like, it's nice to see Steve Austin again, always. Nice, especially since he's going to be in Texas. But it's a talking segment, so it's probably going to go similar to the WrestleMania 21 talking segment. And, that talking segment was fine. It had Roddy Piper and Steve Austin and Carlito, and I think Muhammad Hassan came down there for that thing. I think Hulk Hogan came down there for that thing too. So it was a big brouhaha. So maybe they'll do the same thing here, where it will start out with Steve Austin and Kevin Owens, and then probably devolve into fisticuffs between the two of them. And maybe, there may be some physicality there, where maybe Kevin Owens might get some heat. He might get to punch and kick Steve Austin a few times in order to get some heat. But I don't see him doing more than that. He's not going to bump him. I don't believe that. So this ought to be fun, and ought to be fun for the kids, so I'm okay with this. I'm 100% cool with Kevin Owens talking to Steve Austin in the talking segment. I'm fine with that. It's safer for everybody involved. It's an easy night for Kevin Owens because he don't have to wrestle, but he's going to make a lot of money, and he's going to get a lot of attention because he's going to be in the ring with Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's very cool. What's not cool is that these guys probably spent an hour on just Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins because their opening promo segment was long. Then they had a really long match. And then they got promos after the match. So, well, not promos per se because they didn't really talk. But they got segments after the match. Now, as we continue, Randy Orton and Riddle were celebrating. And they said, of course, they're going to WrestleMania, bro. And then Randy started laying it on real thick by saying that he's never had as much fun in this business as he's having right now. And he says, I'm going to say the F word. And I've never said it on TV. I've never said it to anybody. But this man is my friend. And he hugged Riddle. And he said, this man is my friend. I was like, oh, this is so weird. I love this so much. I love, Randy Orton finally has warmed up to Riddle. And he likes Riddle. So I like this. I've been saying for probably about the last month that Randy either needs to commit to this and we take it to the next level, or we need to end it and break them up and they need to be feuding. Now, of course, most of us thought they would be feuding by now. And I think this probably is the setup to that feud. Because they maybe said, hey, we don't need this match for WrestleMania. We can save it for another big show. So, and they don't, they just turned Damian Priest heel. They just turned Edge heel, so they really don't need to turn anybody heel. They don't really need to. They're going to turn everybody heel on the road to WrestleMania. You don't need to turn everybody heel right now. So just save that one for later. And I like this. I like the RK Bro winning. But I didn't like Dana Brooke versus Tamina. Didn't like this at all. This was it was stupid, but it was funny. Okay, this classic WWE. It's so stupid that you want to piss and shit all over it, but then it's also silly at the same time, so you get at least some entertainment out of it. Reggie gives Dana Brooke a pep talk, but she wants a good luck kiss. They're kissing a lot now. It's getting kind of weird. And WWE with this black man, white woman thing, this has been going on for a while. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but the black man, white woman, somebody in WWE, looking at Vince, somebody has a thing for the swirl. Okay? And specific. Now, there's only been like one time when a white man has chased a black woman on WWE TV. And that was that perverted Kurt Angle who said he wanted to have jungle sex with Charmel. That was creepy as fuck. I want to have nasty, dirty sex. And I was like, what in the fuck? How do we go from Olympic gold medalist drinking milk to sex maniac? I want to have jungle fever, Kurt Angle. How do we get that? Apparently somebody knew Kurt Angle was like that, because I think he ended up dating a black woman later on, didn't he? So yeah, somebody knew that he was down for the fudge. You feel me? Anyway, I remember when they did the Monday Night Football commercial, and it was Shelton Benjamin and Trish Stratus. Do anybody remember that? I remember they got a lot of heat for that, because it was like I think Shelton Benjamin walked in on Trish Stratus while she was in the locker room or something like that. It was a play off of something that had happened in the real world, the outside world, let's put it like that. And they were recreating it on Raw, and it was Trish Stratus and Shelton Benjamin. And people were like, oh, the black man and the white woman, what are you doing? And of course, Lana and Lashley, of course, they spent like 8 months on that joint, and they said they was getting death threats. So now you got Dana Brooke and Reggie. Anytime a black man and a white woman is on the WWE TV, something about to go down. I'm not saying it's a problem. I'm just saying it makes some people uncomfortable. It's funny. As long as they don't go back to white guy wants to have jungle cannibal sex with a black woman, I'm cool with most of this stuff. All right. But that Kurt Angle being real creepy with Charmel and him trying to rape her and all that kind of stuff, I was not with that. That was too dark. All right, that's too dark. Dark. All right. So Dana Brooke and Reggie, now that she's crossed the barrier and he's not in the friend zone anymore, she's just like totally into him, which tells me that there's something going on here. But the other side of the coin, with Tamina and Tozawa, where she gives him another savage kiss and he slides down the shutter and says, "Oh, that is a whole lot of luck." It was so ridiculous, stupid as fuck. The match is like 90 seconds, and Dana Brooke wins. Dana Brooke, of course, runs off with Reggie, and Tozawa says that Tamina is the love of his life. Tries to give him another kiss, but she walks away. And the crowd is actually into this. This is the reason why they do soap opera stuff. Because stupid idiots like me and the morons of Cleveland actually find entertainment value in this shit. There's people chanting for her to go back with Tozawa. This is stupid TV. Why are you watching this? Why are you hoping this to continue? Cleveland, stop. What are you doing? You're a bunch of morons. Don't do this. All right? Stop it. Just stop it. Don't. Oh, don't give them any more ideas, man. Don't make them think this is over. You know, boo this, boo it all. Change the channel. Don't get into it. Jesus. But the next segment was pretty fun. Miz, Logan Paul, and Jerry the King Lawler. Cleveland legends. Yes, noted Cleveland legend Jerry the King Lawler, who of course lived in Cleveland before moving to Memphis. I think he was born there, if I remember correctly. So, Miz and Logan Paul come out there and they put over Cleveland. The Miz says that he's a legend. He finally gets his respect in Cleveland. Logan Paul breaks down where he went to high school, says that he was a wrestler, placed 5th in the city or 5th in the state or 5th in high school, or however that went down. And then Miz and Logan Paul talked about being self-made and how daddies didn't help them, and that Ray earned the right to be loved, and so did he. And that, hey, they boo me, except here in Cleveland, and they cheer Ray, but there's no real reason because I've done everything Ray's done. And, you know, Lawler comes out there, he talks about his history with Cleveland, you know, with the NFL championship, Super Bowl, all that stuff. Logan Paul was really, really supportive of this whole Cleveland thing. He liked this. And then Jerry the King Lawler suggested that they push for Cleveland to host WrestleMania. And Logan Paul was like, yeah, sure, that's great. And then Miz was like, huh? It was like, huh? And he started tearing Cleveland apart. It was so funny. This was complete filler. This whole segment was 100% filler. But I had fun with it. I had fun with this segment. The Miz absolutely destroyed Cleveland. He started talking about how winners leave Cleveland. LeBron James won a championship, left Cleveland. The only good thing about the fireworks was set the lake on fire. He talked about the football team leaving. He talked about LeBron James leaving. He left. Jerry left. Everybody leaves Cleveland. And I was like, wow. Yeah, he wrecked Cleveland. It was so good. And considering I hate Ohio, this was great. You know, this was great. This was great stuff. But it was complete and total filler. And it went on way too long. But hey, dump on Ohio more, please. They only touched on the match a little bit, with The Miz saying that Dominic Mysterio doesn't deserve to be with them. That's pretty much the overall goal of this. And I like that angle. I'm guessing Dominic is going to end up being the hero of the day in this match. He's going to be the guy that gets the big win or something like that. It would only make sense for him to do so. Because I would imagine if if Dominic is the one reason they lose, that would probably do more for his character, him being the guy who lost the match, than it would be that if Ray won it, you know. Okay, what was the next segment? Brian Breaker made his Raw debut. He was very excited, said he's grateful to be there, and can't wait to get his hands on Dolph Ziggler and his goon. Ciampa says that they beat them once, they'll beat them again, and then they did. Brian Breaker and Tommaso Ciampa defeated the Dirty Dogs. There was a nice little vignette for Brian where they talked about essentially everything. Well, they didn't talk too much about his football career, but they showed a lot of highlights of him. Not much. Didn't tell the people who he is, though. You know, and I think this is a big problem with Brian, specifically, is that when you look at NXT 2.0, Brian has the most screen time, but the least character development. Because we know in the future his character is going to be son of, Rick Steiner, nephew to Scott Steiner. He's probably going to do some type of character that's going to involve both of them. He may even do a mixture of the two. He may dance back and forth between the two. Because that's really what happened to Ted DiBiase, happened to Cody, happened to Charlotte. It's going to happen eventually. I said on Twitter that I think the Steiner name is going to be the permanent move to the main roster, or the smash in the case of emergency. Like he's flopping, it's not working, hit the glass, rechristen him Steiner, make sure Scott comes out there to help him get over, and Rick helps him get over, and all that kind of stuff. That's going to be probably once he's more established and maybe he's not getting over, or he gets over and he becomes a little bit more established. But they didn't go into that. But he doesn't have a character. He doesn't really have, like, if it was Tony D'Angelo, I think he probably would have been a smash on the main roster. Because you got the character immediately. That's why people loved it so much when they first started doing the vignettes for Tony D'Angelo. The character made perfect sense. You watched one vignette, you heard him talk, you seen everything that he did, told you almost, not the entire story of the character, but they told you what the character was about. Brian Breaker, they introduced him as like this super athlete. He looks great, he's young, he's a phenomenal athlete, he's a champion, he's strong, he's fast, he's agile, he's dominant, but no personality. They didn't do any personality stuff. And that's when I really kind of realized it. Brian, they got to add a personality to this guy. He just can't be excited young guy. They got to do more than that. Now, the crowd kind of mild for Brian. A lot of people like the crowd is dead for him. I think he woke them up a couple of times, but they weren't going crazy for him. NXT is the least watched wrestling show. It is. And they don't really, a lot of people kind of like, they're looking for meat on that bone. They're not showing a lot of personality out of Tommaso Ciampa or Brian Breaker right now. And I don't see the point in them being on Raw and you not putting over their character. And in the case of both of these guys, they need characters. You stripped away Tommaso Ciampa's character by getting rid of his theme song. So now you have to reestablish who he is. You have to recontextualize who he is. And they calling him an NXT 2.0 standout. Like the guy's 22 or something like that. Are you fucking serious? The guy's 40. We got to do better than this. So the match really didn't get over. But Dolph cut the promo after the match saying that these two guys are partners now, but tomorrow they'll be opponents. And the moment that they turn to fight each other, he's going to strike. And that's when he's going to walk out with the NXT title. And I love how Dolph Ziggler is basically saying, I'm going to outsmart you guys. I'm not stronger than you. Might not be a better wrestler than you, but I'm a bigger star and I'm going to figure it out. I'm more successful. I figure it out. I have ways. He never strays too far from being a job guy. He's very realistic. So okay. The Street Profits, I forgot to mention them. For some reason, they were dancing and beatboxing backstage. Like, of course, this is clearly they're on camera thing. Like, otherwise, why would they be walking around? Like, I've never seen that before in my life. Outside of like a Spike Lee movie where dudes just walk, very weird, and they beatboxing and stuff like that. Anyway, the long and the short of it is that RK Bro are the new tag team champions. Street Profits beat them last week. And so now they say, hey, I don't see how we can't have a match at WrestleMania considering we beat the champions. So we should be in there, right? They're seemingly setting up a multiple team thing for WrestleMania. I'm guessing 4-corner tag team match. Or at least a 3 triple threat tag team match, maybe with a ladder. Probably going to be Street Profits, Alpha Academy, RK Bro. Maybe another team, one more team. I don't know with who, though. But I could see them having a ladder match maybe for Saturday, too. Because all these teams have just been beating each other. And that's just kind of how they get down. WWE doesn't know how to book. We already know that by now. Amos starts yelling at the floor. Well, it was crazy. I'm going to dominate everyone. I'm going to eat you. Taste your blood. You're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? I go dominate everyone. I'm like, huh? I had to rewind and turn the TV up. I kill everyone. I'm like, why is you yelling at the floor, for starters? Secondly, I don't like your attitude. So then I see that he's going to have a match with Apollo Crews. And I was like, wait a minute. Okay. We get Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz. And I say to myself, this ought to be very nice. I know it's not going to be a match. It's going to be a squash match. But if they're smart, you put Apollo Crews in the ring, and he goes up to Omos and says, Omos, you must know who I am. You are Nigerian, and I am Nigerian royalty. You should join us, and you should be very happy and be very rich. And then Omos like, I don't want to be your partner. I want to eat you and throw your bones into the river. You're like, what? But they didn't do any of that. Apollo Crews just came out there. He didn't get an entrance. He just kind of stood in the ring, got beat up, got pinned, and then Omos stared at Commander Aziz. The crowd seemed to be very interested in Commander Aziz and Omos. I don't know why. Aziz is a job guy. But they, when Omos was standing there, and he basically challenged Aziz to stand up, and Aziz stood up at him, I was like, okay, all right. The crowd was like, yeah, we like this. 2 big dudes, we like this. I'm saying, no. They should all be friends. Omos has no personality outside of yelling at things. He's a huge man. He needs direction. He needs somebody with him. All of the giants in wrestling so far, outside of Andre, before the 80s, had to have some kind of manager to point them in the right direction, to cut promos for them, to talk for them. Andre, when he turned heel, he had Bobby Heenan. The Giant Gonzalez had Harvey Whippleman. The Great Khali had the little Indian dude that was on the WWE creative team. He also had Daivari, I think, too, didn't he? So you need to have somebody with these guys to bring out more in them. Omos was really good when he was with AJ Styles. He didn't have to do that much. AJ had so much charisma, and it made Omos seem like he had a lot of charisma. And all he had to do was play straight man for AJ Styles and laugh and show that he had some personality. But now that AJ's gone, all the personality from the fucking act is gone. So now you just have Omos. He's just a big guy. And he yells at stuff. I don't get it. I'm like, that's all you really need to be. But there still needs to be a persona there. And I like the idea of Apollo Crews recruiting Omos and him and Aziz being partners. And then maybe you turn Omos into the brains of the operation. Like he's the monster who's free from, I was about to say the naughty word. But he's kind of like the guy who broke the conditioning. I didn't need AJ Styles and I proved it. And then he could have said to Aziz, you don't need Apollo Crews. You're a monster. Be a monster. And then they join together and go out and beat people up. Like, could you imagine something as crazy as Amos and Aziz as partners. You know, like how much damage they could do. Like an original Skyscraper, Powers of Pain style tag team. That could be fucking awesome. That could rule ass. They'll never do it though. And they still need a voice box though. They'll still need somebody to talk for them. Which is why I still think Apollo Crews could be there, because he can at least talk. You know? Or, I mean, is MVP busy or something? You know? Like there could be, you have 100 things you could do here. I think this is a huge missed opportunity. Maybe because I like these guys. I like Apollo Crews. And most other people don't. They don't really care about him. They don't care about him either way. Which sucks, because he's actually pretty good. Let's talk about Edge. So Edge comes out. There's lights out for Edge. They have this really weird lighting. It's purplish. And Metalingus plays a little bit. Then the music stops. And he comes out to no theme. And Edge walks to the ring to the sounds of some boos, some confusion, and a lot of whatever WWE piped in. Whenever you hear that, you already know what I'm talking about. It comes from the box that they're fiddling around with backstage. That's not a natural sound. I heard that all Thunderdome. And I was like, it can't be possible that one person makes that same noise at every show. Fuck you. That coming from the box that you're piping in. So there was some piped in stuff, not a lot. And Edge stood in the ring. And he says, "You think you know me?" And the crowd kind of chuckled at it. Says that AJ clearly thinks he does. And then he explains that he attacked AJ because he wanted to help him. He wanted to bring out the best AJ Styles. He wants the flesh-tearing pit bull AJ Styles. That's what he wanted. And he said, and in beating up AJ Styles, it helped him and it helped AJ too. And he says that, you know, after doing what I did to you, the real me stepped forward. He says, and it's a more me that I've fallen in love with. And he says he feels like he's in control of everything when it comes to being in this ring. He feels like he's in control of everything when it comes to this industry. And that he's standing on the mountain of omnipotence, and the view is phenomenal. So there's this new version of Edge. He seems to be doing something different. And I'm all for doing something different. I like that. There's a pervasive fear that they're going to change Edge's theme song. I don't entirely share in that theme, but I understand it. I think that you don't really touch a Legend's theme song. Like, I don't like when they change Brett's theme song. It sucks. Even if it's good, it sucks because you had no business changing it. You know? So, I hope they don't change Edge's theme song. But if they change it for the purpose of him creating a whole new character for himself, then I'm okay with it. Now, Edge has been toying around with this whole Brood Edge thing for a little while now. So, they've been doing this going back to your roots. We're going to talk about this again in a minute, but, you know, showing a different side of yourself, you know, a little bit of modern nostalgia, a little bit of nostalgia dumped in. Ryan Satin was the one who kind of figured that the lighting was very similar to the original Edge vignettes when he was out on the street with the purplish lighting and stuff like that. I don't think those two things are going to necessarily be correlated. But I do think that I was a very interesting visual. You had young, what was he, probably 25, 26 when he first signed? And now he's 46 now? He would have been younger than that. Or older than that, rather. Because he's 46 now. He debuted in 1998. That was 25 years ago. So he would have been 21, 22, maybe. You know, something like that. Maybe 24. In any event, this was interesting. I'm not saying it was good or it was bad. It was very interesting, though. It was very captivating. Let's put it like that. Because I was very interested in what was going on. It reminded me a lot of when Chris Jericho, you know, came out to no theme song. And Jericho did the whole silent promo. He just come out, stare at the crowd, and leave. He did that for a couple of weeks, in order to change what he wanted to do. Now, Edge is in the nostalgia portion of his career. He doesn't really need to change, But if he wants to continue wrestling, and we don't know how long he wants to do it, he needs to find ways to add new wrinkles to make him interesting. And the Brood thing is what did it. The Brood thing was great. When Edge is pushed too far, he kind of goes back to that dark place, of being a vampire, and being dangerous. And I like that. And it seems like they're continuing with that same theme here, where maybe they're going Ministry of Darkness a little bit. Maybe mixed with the original Edge, the street urchin Edge. I don't know what the fuck you want to call it. But I liked it. I liked it. It was very interesting. And I'm all for, evolving the character. He can't be the rated R superstar forever. So let's see what more he can do. I'm okay with it. Look, if it doesn't work, we could always just go back to, you think you know me. And he could go back to doing everything that he was doing before. But Chris Jericho, Undertaker, and guys like this, they know it's time to evolve at some point. It's time to change. That means taking risks. And Edge is almost 50. His career is made. He's a Hall of Famer. Everything that he's already done, nothing's going to be affected by him changing his character now. He is who he is. But he could also be more. So he could have a great second leg to his career. And I know he said before that, what did he say? When he talked about the second mountain. He said the first time you climb the mountain is for yourself. The second time is for everybody else or something like that. Or is it the other way around? But it was from his documentary on the second mountain. And that's where this comes from, this whole mountain of omnipotence. Is that, he feels like he's at the top of the industry now. He's at the top of his game. He's at his prime. He's in his best self. And he wants AJ Styles to be his best self too. And I like that. Now, as far as AJ becoming his best self, they're going to take AJ off TV for a little while. Makes sense. To do what, though? And I said on the internet, on Twitter, if we're going to go back, does that mean AJ Styles is going to show up clean shaven with a low haircut? And we're going back to TNA AJ Styles. Because I don't know if he could pull that off. He's significantly older and has had significantly more injuries. I'm not sure he can pull that off. I'm welcome to see him try, but I think they should go with the Lone Wolf AJ Styles, where he had Evil Ways as a theme song. I fucking love Evil Ways, by the way. Fucking tremendous theme song, bro. If he can go back, if we could use that Evil Ways for AJ Styles to evolve his character, to go back to TNA a little bit, or maybe they'll go back to Bullet Club AJ Styles. Like, I'm not a super fan of the Bullet Club AJ Styles, but I understand it, But if that's what they're going to do, they killed the Phenomenal and they're going to bring back, well, he was the Phenomenal the whole time, but they're going to change the Phenomenal, let's say, to a pre-WWE AJ Styles. This could be amazing. This could really be amazing. Like, legit. So I'm really thinking about whether they're going to change AJ Styles up, because he's been the same for a long time too. AJ's been in WWE since 2016. It's been 6 years, and he's been essentially the same character ever since. He hasn't changed that much in look or in persona. Maybe it's time for him to change his persona too. These guys are at the point of their careers where it's time to freshen up. Especially if they're going to be getting more runs. I think both these guys probably got another title run in them. Is it anytime soon? Probably not. Not in the immediate future. But you never know with WWE. You never can tell. So, if Bobby Lashley can find himself at 45, and, even though the Hurt Business is the precursor was the Beatdown Clan, but the Hurt Business is a little bit more, professional. it came across a little bit more professional and less like a gang. But he was 44 or 45 when he came up with that, or when it was created. AJ is younger, I think. I think he's like 44, 43 or something like that. So it's never too late to reinvent yourself. You know, I say go for it. I'm all for Edge and AJ Styles kind of testing the waters. And I kind of knew that Edge was going to, the reason that he was going to say is that he wanted to bring out the best in AJ. And bringing out the best means that he had to beat him up. He had to hurt him. Okay. Let's try to get through the rest of this stuff quickly. There's not a lot left anyway. Liv Morgan and Ria Ripley defeat Carmella and Zelina Vega, so they are added to the Tag Team Championship match at WrestleMania. This happens because Carmella went outside the ring to chat with Corey Graves and left Zelina Vega alone. Absolutely fucking stupid. Stupid. A waste of fucking time. Carmella's character is always shit on. Even when she's doing something that is remotely interesting or something remotely cool. They always revert the character back to being some empty-brained dumbass. It's almost as if somebody in creative, I'm not going to say who, looking at you, Vince, thinks Carmella is not capable of doing anything. And just says, make her fucking stupid. And she's going to be stupid again. Like, almost every bit of Carmella's character ends up with her just being stupid. You know? Like, she leaves in the middle of the match to put a mask on. Stupid. Now she leaves to go flirt with Corey Graves. And it's stupid. It doesn't even make a lick of fucking sense. You know, for her to all of a sudden just be like outside the ring forever. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. Now I know a lot of people they're tripping out because Rhea Ripley is in another tag team instead of being a singles act. But everybody can't be at the top at the same time. And that's really the overall thing here. Because I think Rhea Ripley is going to end up being the top heel on Raw. But, you know, she's got to get there first. You got to cross the finish line. Now, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley could be a fun tag team. They have some similarities as far as their look. And they're kind of their persona. Because Liv Morgan's a little bit darker. You know, as far as she's really into the occult and stuff like that. So she could, you know, do some stuff with Rhea Ripley. To be quite honest, I don't see this going too far. Because I think once they don't win the titles, Rhea is probably going to flip probably the next night and turn heel. I think there's probably going to be a lot of more heel turns after WrestleMania than there will be before it. But I was appalled by the usage of the Carmella character. Because I liked the Tradishi Carmella when she was like she was doing the whole champagne thing. And then they threw that away just so she could be the most beautiful woman in WWE. And now she's sex obsessed. And it's just like, this is a waste of fucking time. If you don't know what you want to do with this woman, get her off TV. For fuck's sake, get her out of here. All right, Finn Balor versus Austin Theory. This is the last segment. Finn Balor wins by disqualification as Damian Priest attacked him and threw him off the top rope. Sterned him first, and then gave him a razor's edge. Austin Theory, Finn Balor, neither one of these guys need to lose. So I was hoping for the disqualification. Both these guys needed momentum going into WrestleMania. Damian Priest looks phenomenal. I hate that they got rid of his swag. You know, him just kind of being generic big bad guy instead of being the cool bad guy that he was in NXT. I want that back. You know, they kind of be going back to Punishment Martinez, which he was doing in Ring of Honor, and he was doing that on the Indies. So we know that he can do that and it works. But I'm not really thrilled about that. Austin Theory beats up Finn Balor and takes a selfie with him. And I think they're going with the Damian Priest versus the Demon, Finn Balor. I think that's what they're going with. A battle of the dark side. Or the dark side of Damian Priest going to war with the dark side of Finn Balor for the United States title. I like that. So, hopefully they get to allow Damian Priest to show some personality. He should be talking. Finn Balor should be talking. They should be wrestling less, talking more. All right, that's the thing. They should be talking. They should be developing their personas, developing their characters, developing their personalities. That's what they should be doing. less physicality, less matches. You know, they should be developing their personalities. But Damian versus Demon, I like it. I love that. But let me know what you guys think. Raw, of course, a slog. But let me know what you guys think. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.